Mike, I don't do clinics all that often. Even to call it a clinic is kind of weird because you're not going to learn anything here today. You might not hear a lot of that either. No, I'm just kidding. But it's not like, I don't know if you've been to clinics before. I haven't. I've never been to another person's clinic, so I don't know what they do. I assume they stand around, they play lead for 2 hours, and then they leave. I really don't know, but that's not what I do, obviously. I'm not a lead player. So that would be really boring and crappy for 2 hours. So for me, I've always kind of done it more of a thing where I'll play and I'll answer every question you have, and if there's really, I'll play when you have specific things. If you want me to play things specifically, then that's what I'm into doing. But I don't just get up and sit here and go, okay, and just play a bunch of stuff and expect you all to sit around and listen. That's what I do with my band. So it would be great. Feel free to chime in, and if there's stuff you really want to hear me play, or if there's stuff you want me to show you how to play the way I play it, I mean, stuff like that. That's really like why I do these things. And of course Q&A. I mean, you could ask me anything you've ever wanted to ask me, if anything at all. So, and then yeah, like I said too, once the other amps are here, it would be cool if there's something you've always wanted to learn how to play. I'll show you how to play it, and then we'll jam it. So I will leave the floor to you guys. Just start, one at a time. I can only play one thing at a time, so I'm not Michelangelo.
Nice fucking life.
You want me to play that? Okay. The first channel on this I call it the Malcolm channel because it's kind of modeled after an old Malcolm JTM, whatever it was that he plays here. So you get a real true AC/DC tone in the first channel. Second channel is going to be called 1987 because it's basically my exact Marshall JCM 800 tone that we pretty much modeled. That's on the Among the Living record, or like Spray and Disease, Among the Living, State of Euphoria, like the amps I was using in that period. That's what channel 2 is. And then channel 3 is just kind of that same thing, but with a little extra, like more high gain. So if you're playing lead, you can kick the channel 3. Kind of my favorite amp of the last few years is the new EVH 5153. I've got 2 of those, and I just think he did such an amazing job with that amp. And the channel 3 in that, to me, it's a great channel because you've got all the high gain you could ever need for lead, but it still sounds good for rhythm too. And we kind of, based my channel 3 off of that one as well. Just a little more denser and maybe a little less MIDI than Eddie's. But anyway, I'm going to try it in channel 2, see what it sounds like. I have no idea if that's too loud or is it loud enough. Wait till you hear it through the real cabinet. I mean, the head itself sounds great, and I've been playing it through this cabinet at Dave Friedman's shop. He's got this cabinet by this boutique company called Scumbag. It's I know, weird, right? But their speakers are amazing. It's like the best sounding speakers I've ever heard. And so I called Randall immediately. I said, we got to put these Scumbags in my cabinet. It's the best sounding thing I've ever heard. And so they called the company and they priced it all out, and it was going to end up making the cabinet just be, ridiculously expensive, just, impossible for anyone to buy. So we were able to source it out, and it turns out actual vintage 30s or Celestian greenbacks actually sound pretty close to these boutique ones. So mine are going to come with either greenbacks or the vintage 30s. And it just, I know I'm talking a lot, but I think this cabinet sounds good, but wait till you hear it with the real cabinet. That's all I can say. So NFL. So there's the Among the Living version, and then there's the Greater of Two Evils version, which has that kind of the longer intro where we play the harmony, which is just basically. the intro part. Then the next part is just, you know, the wasting your life. Yeah, I didn't warm up. I was in a car for 2 hours, so I'm a little tight. So don't ask me to play Skeletons in the Closet yet. Unless you want to hear the really slow version.
The jam version.
What's that?
The jam version.
The jam version, yeah. Instead of the White Zombie version.
Hey, still heavy.
Yes, of course. Anytime you go like that on the E string, it's gonna be heavy. Anyone bring a noise gate? I usually run smart gates. That's my the secret to silence. Because to me, playing the silence is just as important as the sound you're making. Like nothing drives me crazier when in between chords, if I hear feedback or when a song ends, if my rig is buzzing, it makes me insane. And so I like run those smart gates. I run like one at the end of my pedal board, and then I run one in the effects loop of the head as well. That's the Eddie Van Halen trick actually. Run it in the effects loop, and just dead silent. And it doesn't affect the tone at all. It doesn't squeeze it too much, or you don't lose anything. I highly recommend those pedals. What else?
We weren't going to learn nothing.
What's that?
And you said we weren't going to learn nothing.
Nothing important.
About Caught in a Mosh.
Caught in a Mosh, sure. Song it's one of those songs where we've probably been playing it. I think that song was actually written in around '86, and Mona Living didn't come out till '87, but we were already playing that song live before the record was out. So I've been playing that song 24 years, and it's one of those ones that will always be in the set. There's some songs you get tired of and kind of just like, all right, let's maybe drop that song for a tour or two, but I think Caught in a Mosh has been in our set since 1986. It's never gone away, and I don't get bored of it. It's just got, it's because of the riff. It's such an AC/DC riff. I almost feel like we're playing a cover song sometime, you know, the main riff of the song. So it's just, I don't know, but maybe it makes it more fun for me to play. But anyway, yeah, it starts, the intro is just... It's a riff that AC/DC should have written. And then Charlie plays the crazy drum fill that we still have a hard time coming out of in time. next verse and then the breakdown. I was just looking to see if the other amps are here, because if anyone knows the lead, they could come up and play it. But it's here. All right, let's get it set up, and then we could jam. But yeah, the rhythm behind the lead. Very caveman. I usually just kind of sit like this in the dressing room for about 20 minutes. A lot of down picking and then just a lot of, you know, just get the hand warmed up, a lot of that, and then just stupid finger exercises, you know, like just up and down the neck for 5 minutes. But yeah, like 20 minutes, about 20 minutes of warming up, and then generally the first 2 songs of the set too, because I find no matter how much I warm up, it's, you know, it's not gig conditions when you're standing in the dressing room warming up. So no matter how hard I play in the dressing room, it's just not the same, because you have no adrenaline when you're standing in your dressing room. You get on stage and everything's just like, and you just like, it's chaotic and it's loud, and generally there's like 90 things going wrong in the first song, and you're just trying to focus and do your thing, and there's chaos going on around you. So first 2 songs, and then I usually settle in. And being the type of band that we are, you know, you always want to open your show with something, you know, generally one of your usually hardest to play songs. It always seems like fastest and hardest with the like relentless picking and stuff, and it always ends up being that way. So it's just that you just gotta focus, and it's always such a challenge. And like we might be opening with Among the Living on this upcoming run with Slayer and Megadeth, and it's like, yeah, it's nice and easy for me at the beginning. Well, that's all easy, and then you got kind of the minute intro, which is like slow and moshy, and then it kicks in the super fast down picking for 4 minutes, and it's like, fuck. The song ends and my arms just going like this. Yeah, there's times, I'm telling you, I used to never warm up. I used to feel like I didn't need to. I was also, you know, 24 years old, so I can understand why I felt that way. But just over the years and touring and meeting so many other players, and even like someone like Daryl, I would see him warming up and warming up and warming up. I'm like, wow, you really need to warm up that much? He's like, he told me that if he didn't warm up, there's been times like where he didn't warm up properly, and he said that his left hand, more so than his right hand, but he said his left hand would literally cramp up so bad on the neck that he couldn't even make a chord. Like it would just freeze, like his hand would just literally get like, and that would just locked, and he'd just be trying to do something, and, you know, but he would get such a cramp in his arm if he didn't warm up properly. And I feel like he cursed me when he told me that, because then it started to happen to me, and then I had to start warming up. So, but it's good. I mean, you should warm up. I know a lot of people take it for granted, and whether you're a guitar player, singer, drummer, anything, you know, the last thing you ever want to do is get up on stage cold.
Get down.
two-part question. Who's the most professional, no bullshit drummer you ever played with? And who's the funnest, craziest drummer?
Well, maybe they could turn the music down first and then...
Turn yours up.
Well, I could do that too. I'm sure this is louder than that, but it's just distracting when I'm trying to talk, that's all. And it's like slow jams happening next door. It's pretty funny. It's probably someone's wedding or something, right? Totally bumming them out. Congratulations! I'll get to that one. You said most no bullshit drummer, is that what you said?
Most professional, no bullshit drummer you know, and who's the funnest, craziest drummer?
Well, I mean, my obvious answer is Charlie. I've been lucky enough to play in a band with him since 1983. To me, he's the sickest. I'm still convinced he's a robot from the future. He's a Terminator that learned how to play drums and was sent back to play metal drums. He's insane. He makes it look so effortless. He plays the craziest, insane stuff, and it's like he's like up there reading the newspaper. It blows my mind how effortless it is for him. He's just an unbelievable talent. So he's definitely the most no bullshit. As far as like crazy funnest drummer, I don't know. Well, that's a totally different thing. Like when I think of like a crazy fun drummer, I'm thinking someone maybe who I've played with that isn't necessarily playing metal most of the time. It's hard to be a fun drummer in the confines of thrash or metal because you can get away with so much when you're doing stuff, but you got to be pretty locked in when you're playing fast. If you're just going crazy the whole time, you're just gonna be overplaying. It's just gonna be a big mess. Like truthfully, I would think in the context of metal, probably Lombardo seems like he's having the most fun as far as playing, because like sometimes you wonder if he's gonna make it out of a drum fill. Like some of the stuff he plays, and of course he always does because he actually knows exactly what he's doing. But as a listener, sometimes I'm like, oh my god, and then he makes it out on time, and he's incredible. I've gotten to jam with him a couple of times, so yeah, maybe Lombardo. Joey Jordison too. He's pretty fun to play with. That he's a maniac. And same thing, always makes it back. Like he'll be playing the most insane thing you've ever heard, and then just right back in time. So. I don't know if Gene and I have ever actually jammed. I've seen him play a ton of times. He's unbelievable, but I don't think we've ever actually jammed together. But he's great. Yeah, he's amazing.
Remember when you were on the area shelter?
No, I don't remember that. Thanks for reminding me. I totally forgot about that, dude.
The mystery package. Mystery package. That shit looked like it messed you up, man.
It's called TV. It's fake.
I just saw it the other night.
We were such good actors, you actually thought we were high.
I was like, yeah.
Ed O'Neill. Right on. That's actually kind of my favorite is when people come in and they just scream at me. I never really. My initial instinct is I think I'm in trouble because, that when I was a kid, my mom would just come in and scream at me for no reason, and I'd be like, "What did I do?" So when I hear that, I'm like, "What's happening?" Or the best is one time this was back in like 2000 and it was the last Pantera tour. It was like that Pantera, Slayer. I don't remember who else was on it, but I saw it down in San Diego. It was on the Reinventing the Steel tour, and I was walking into the show with my wife and my buddy, and some dude runs up next to me, and I'm talking like louder than that guy just now, runs up next to me right in my ear and screams Anthrax as loud as he can, like right in my ear, and I didn't know what to, I'm like, oh hey, right on, bro, and then my buddy Eric just had the best line. He goes, "That's in case you forget." He just reminded me. But what was the call? Oh, Married with Children. Sorry, see, tangent. Actually, that week Ed O'Neill, who played Al, was the coolest dude ever. He took us aside like the second day, because you get there on a Monday and you kind of read the script, and then you show up on Tuesday and you kind of read the script again, and you're just sitting around a big table with all these people like, oh my God, it's Christina Applegate, like for a whole week basically, and then he was giving us tips, like he would pull us aside and tell us how you should say your lines, because it seems really easy when they tell you, just be yourself, but you're standing there with these Married with Children people who do this for a living, and you're on TV and there's cameras, and all of a sudden it's not easy to just be yourself. It's weird, but I mean, I'm not an actor. You think it would be easy to just act like you normally do, but that doesn't work that way. You actually have to say things a certain way so the line will get a laugh, or it was kind of confusing, but at the same time really cool and an amazing experience. And Ed O'Neill actually would pull us aside and say, instead of saying it like whatever one of the lines was, put the inflection on this word and say it this way, and watch, you're going to get a big laugh. And you would listen to him, and then the next time you do the table reading, you'd say it the way Ed told you how to say it, and everyone would laugh. So Ed was super cool about that, and like just made sure, he was like, hey, I just want you guys to be funny.
He looks like a drunk guy.
Yeah, he ruled. He ruled. I said, you have the best gig in the world. You get to play Al Bundy on TV every week. And at the time, I remember reading something. He was making some insane amount of money, like, $400,000 a week, like some crazy money. And I said to him, what an amazing job. He goes, it's literally as easy as me changing my shirt. That's what he told me. He goes, I put on my Al t-shirt and I become Al. That's all the motivation I need. God damn, I picked the wrong business.
About something off of Art of White Noise, anything?
What's that?
Something off of Art of White Noise.
Sound of White Noise.
Yeah, Sound of White Noise, sorry.
So there's no way to get that music turned down, huh?
It's karaoke night.
It's karaoke. So what about Sound of White Noise?
Play anything off of your favorite off that disc.
There's a few. I'm in this tuning right now, so I'll play the riff from Only, and then I'll switch to that one and play Room for One More if you want. But yeah, Only was possibly the first song we wrote for that record before we even knew John was going to be our singer. We were already working on some of that material even before Joey was out of the band at the time. We were already working on that stuff, and we knew we wanted John. He's the only guy that was it. We knew we were going to get John Bush, and if he said no, we didn't know what we were going to do, but we weren't going to take no for an answer. And first time he came down, it was like summer of '92, or even earlier than that, maybe May of '92. We were in Los Angeles for something, and we rented out some rehearsal space out in the valley. And John came down and we said, hey, let us play some of the new shit we're working on. And I remember we played him Only in Room for One More. And he was like, wow, that sounds really cool. And we said, well, we actually have some vocal ideas already. And he actually started jamming on the chorus with us, just kind of singing some mumbo jumbo words, but singing the melody line. And I mean, we were just all dying. All my hair was standing up on my arms. And I actually think I still had maybe that mohawk thing going on, and that was standing up. And then we played a bunch of Sabbath songs and like Living Color songs, and all jammed on like UFO and maybe even Aerosmith, and he was like, all right, well, I'll think about it. And we just sat there like, what? And he left. We're like, we can't believe he didn't just say yes right now. Like, we played him our new stuff. How could he not join the band? But then like a week later, he called up and he said, I'd be crazy not to do this. So, and that was it. But that was like the first song written for that record. And it starts like this. stuff going on, obviously other guitar parts and stuff, and a lot of people, they think I'm only down picking that verse part. And normally, I think when we initially tracked it, I think I was just and it was Dave Jordan who produced that record. He said, you know, I understand your thing with the down picking and all that. And he goes, but it feels a little stiff. He goes, it kind of feels stiff and it's not grooving with the drums the right way. And I was I've always called my style of playing in like James and that type of rhythm style. I've always called it fascist rhythm playing because it's just, that's it. You know, it's just got to be down picked and tight and, you know, just perfect. And he goes, I understand your thing with your right hand and all that. He goes, but why don't you try alternating or come up with like kind of circular thing for it, and I think it'll groove better. And I had to admit he was right, because from going from, which is obviously very straight and to the point, but then when you, I mean there's no drums here, but when you go, it just grooves better, because the song kind of rolls. It's kind of got this rolling feeling in it. It just grew better, and actually that one little piece of advice from Jordan kind of opened my mind so much to, I've always considered myself very much a caveman when it comes to, you know, guitar. I come from the Johnny Ramone school. I come from the Malcolm Young, you know, I come from that school of guitar playing. Tony Iommi, you know, just very, you know, I'm a caveman when it comes to rhythm, and I'm very set in my ways. And that one little piece of advice, like back in '92 when we were tracking that, really kind of opened my mind and like allowed me to, because I would even, when I would jam along to stuff like old stuff, Kiss or Zeppelin, Aerosmith, any of that kind of stuff, I would play it my way. I would never play it how they're playing it. Those guys aren't down picking everything. But I would always just play stuff like that. It's because how I played, and then I realized, well, maybe I should start learning, you know, how to play other ways as well. And that was like kind of the turning point for me. It definitely made me a better guitar player over the years. And then another story about Daryl, because we used to, when we toured together a lot, and obviously we hung out a lot over 20 odd years, and we would get to play together all the time. So, you know, I would come in and start playing something. He's like, "Oh, your right hand is just, you know, it puts me in the dust." I'm like, "Dude, no way, dude, you shit all over me, you know, like, are you kidding me?" He's like, "Yeah, but I cheat because my upstroke is as good as my downstroke when it comes to rhythm playing." I said, "Yeah, but that's not cheating. That makes you twice as good. Because if your upstroke is as strong as your down, you know, then you can play either twice as fast, twice as good, with twice as much feel." That's why Daryl was Daryl. And then him showing me that, and then me watching his right hand and his upstroke, that also like opened up my mind too. And I've kind of gotten to that point now too. Live, like sometimes I'll play Caught in a Mosh, and whether you can never tell the difference unless you're actually looking at my hand if I'm going up or down. You know, he totally changed my attitude towards that as well. So it doesn't always have to be rigid and like a Nazi straight. Like it's okay. It's okay to let the hand open up.
It's a lot easier on your hand too sometimes, you know.
Oh, of course it is.
Count that out, you know, while you're a guitar player.
Sure. I mean, look, certain things are meant to be downpicked. You know, like there's riffs that are always that they're just going to sound better that way. You know, certainly a lot of our catalog is meant to be played that way.
Master of Puppets.
Exactly. Yeah, you're not going to alternate Master of Puppets.
Yeah,
you can, but it'll just never sound as tight.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it'll never be as tight. I went to see. I mean, obviously we played all summer with them, but I saw Metallica at the Garden in New York back in a couple of months ago on this last tour, and I was standing right down like by James's stuff, like where his tech is, and at some point it was, you know, it's in the round, and he came walking up and he was just right there at the Master of Puppets. So I'm only like 3 feet away from him, so I was just kind of totally focused in watching his right hand. And dude, it is, I mean, he's still, it's like, I know how great he is, but when you really like watch his right hand, and he's playing in front of 18,000 people, and it's like, and they're even playing it faster live than it is on the record, and I'm telling you, flawless. Flawless. Every single note, like flawless. It's just, it's inspiring to see that, because he could easily phone it in if he wanted to, and you know, that dude would never do that, so it's just amazing to watch. The inspiration for I'm the Man. Well, I'm a Jew. And the music for that song, I haven't played it in years. It's a Jewish folk song, which I've grown up with ever since I was a kid. And my friend John, who was my guitar tech at the time, I'm talking 1985, we were sitting, I was still living in my mother's tiny little apartment. We were sitting in my bedroom, which didn't even have a bed in it. I had 8 Marshall cabinets and like 4 heads, a desk, and my comic books, and I used to sleep on the floor in between it. Like, that's all I had in my room. And we would sit in there and just like come up with the stupidest shit we could think of. And at the time, both of us were really into, we had really gotten into rap music early on in the 80s, and we were listening to a lot of Run DMC, and this is even before License to Ill came out from the Beastie Boys. And we were sitting around one day, and I was playing that Hava Nagia riff, and we started coming up with stupid raps over it, talking about all the members in Anthrax, basically talking about them behind their backs in my room. And then we were like, wow, this is pretty funny. And then I showed it to Charlie and Frankie the next day, and like within a week we had the song written. And it just came out of the fact that we all loved hip-hop early on, and it was just kind of our version of what was going on in hip-hop at the time, with heavy guitars and just taking the piss out of ourselves, basically. And that's really where it came from. It was a total inside joke, and we had no intention of ever even putting it out because we were afraid our fans would like throw bricks at us, and because there was no crossover back then. That hadn't happened yet, and so we put it out as a B-side to the I Am the Law 12-inch, which was only available in the UK in like 1987. It actually came out late '86, so it was a B-side. We figured, all right, if people hate it, it'll go away real quick. We won't even have to worry about it. And it went the opposite way, and people loved it. And people started asking us to play it live, and people would chant "I'm the Man," and we didn't even know how to play this song live. Like, we had never rapped live or anything like that. It was all done in the studio. And Charlie's rapping, and how's he going to play drums and do it at the same time? And so then one day in rehearsal, we figured it out. Like, Joey's like, well, I could play the drums on it. So Joey got up, played the beat, and we figured it out. And then obviously, through that time in the 80s, it became one of our biggest songs. So it's pretty crazy how, something that was just literally a totally retarded inside joke, became this huge thing. That's I'm the Man. I see you got a Big 4 shirt on. What show are you at?
Warsaw.
You in Poland? Oh, cool. Right on. Anyone have any water or coffee or anything?
Hey, I need some tea, dude.
Some what?
I need some water too.
That guy needs some water. Can someone get Pepe? This is Pepe's, right? I have it right.
Thanks, Scott.
Now I need a table to set it upon. See, I'm being a bad influence right now. My guitar tech would smack me for that, because I do it all the time still. I walk on stage and I put my beer down, always in the worst place you could ever think of. Like, there's live wires and electricity arcing out of it, and I'll put my beer right there. Can't help it. Just can't change that shit. I want to say NAMM, January NAMM show. That's been the goal. It's kind of been a slow process. Those are the 3 actual prototypes. Like the manufactured, what do you call it? Like the actual ones that will be available, the production models. I'm still a little slow today. The production models, I'm supposed to get samples of those in the next week or 2, and then me and Dave Friedman will literally put them under the microscope and A/B them with these and make sure they sound exactly how they're supposed to sound, because it doesn't do any good if mine sound great and the production models suck. it's taken me a long time to do an amp because I find signature amps to be truthfully a lot of bullshit. Guitars are one thing. You could stay on top of a guitar as a guitar player. Like, everything about this is me. I was in the custom shop with Mike Shannon. I literally sanded this contour myself. I mean, this is my guitar. It's based off the soloist they made me in 1987 that it used to be fretless and it said "not here" and it had the Yankee logo. This is basically that same guitar, except it's a 1/4 of an inch bigger all the way around, because the only complaint I ever had with that old soloist was it just felt a little small on me. So we added a 1/4 of an inch, so it's almost like Strat size. And I was with this, I mean, every step of the way, this is me, and I could actually say, okay, this is my product. No one, like, it wasn't just like Jackson put my name on it and put it out. Like, the guitars are mine, and I always felt like with amps, I don't know shit about amps. I don't know how an amp works. It's still magic to me. Like, the fact that I go like this and this goes into there and the sound comes out, it's still done by a wizard. Like, I don't really understand how it all works. So it's something that's completely over my head, and I felt like I understand what I want it to sound like, but I don't know how to get there. And Dave Friedman is the guy that kind of built that bridge for me, because I would sit in his shop and he would just show me, well, if I go like this and if I change this and I do this, this is going to affect this and this is going to affect this frequency. And I still don't know how it works, but he's the guy that understands what I want and is going to get me that. So it's been a really long process. We started on these modules, and the head too, there's going to be an actual head, over probably 1.5 years ago. And I've said no so many times. Things come in and me and Dave take it to the shop, we're like, nope, sounds like shit, to the point, like I said earlier, we are redesigning Randall's whole cabinet line.